Tulsi Devi ki Brahmaveda Bhaktivinoda ki all glories to the sum of devotees, all glories to the sum of devotees, all glories to the sum of devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru Gaura Panitai Gaura Panitai Navam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Katha Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Mani Pracharani Namaste Shasnati Paskati Vizitarani Om Gyananandasya Janandana Sulakaya Takshushmanakandini Tasmat Shri Gurudev Namah Sri Chaitanya Manavistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadama Tadati Sarkamantikam Mancha Bhagavatyasya Ipasasya Patikanam Padaniyo Vaishnaveyo remember something from yesterday. Obviously, Sanskrit verses are coming out of, will flow from your mouth. Yes, Boliye.
Krishna, Krishna.
Very good. Perfection of all. Krishna, Krishna. Paramayatma. Jagat Isha. Yogeshwara. Jagdishwara. Okay, now we spoke about that today after hearing the wonderful names, the 3 verses of wonderful names of Krishna, that Narada Muni, having met Krishna in a lonely place, he wanted to speak something very privately to him because it had to do with what? Krishna's ending his Vrindavan Leela and beginning. Because Krishna's Leela is always Nitya Leela. That means it's continuous. But he's ending the Vrindavan portion of his pastimes and going to begin the Mathura portion of his pastimes. And the names that he uses are very carefully selected. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains how he puts a thread through the different names and he describes how they all indicate different messages that he wants to give to Krishna at this time. So what's the essential message? I already said it, but you don't know what I mean maybe. What's the essential message he wants to tell Krishna? Huh?
Time to move on.
Yes, what a... It's time to end his Vrindavan pastimes. So therefore he has to do it in a very private place. And it's time to begin his Mathura pastime. Now what's the first thing he does when he begins his Mathura pastimes? That's not the first thing. He does many things before that. That's the culmination of the beginning of his pastimes. What's the first thing he does? Before that, he and the boys decide, as soon as they get, because they're just village boys, yes, dressed in village clothes, used to wandering around the hills and the rivers and in the forests, just village boys. And then they have come to the big city and they want to see all the sights and the opulences of the big city. What do you think?
He took clothes.
Huh?
He took clothes from her.
Yes, but not yet. He wanted to see, so he wandered in the city of Mathura. And when Krishna is leaving Vrindavan, driven on the chariot, who is the driver of the chariot when Krishna is leaving?
Guru.
Yes. And the gopis are lamenting. They're lamenting their loss of fortune because akshanvantam phalamidam na param vidama, that the perfection of the eyes, the only purpose of the eyes, they think, is to see the wonderful, most beautiful form of Krishna. And without being able to see the form of Krishna, practically speaking, their eyes have no value. This is the purpose of their eyes. So they're thinking now, when the sun rises, because Krishna is going to leave at sunrise, then our fortune, the sun is rising, but it's not rising for us. The sun of our fortune is setting for us. And the sun of the fortune of the ladies of Mathura, that is rising. Because on this day, they're saying, they will see this most amazingly attractive form of Krishna, with his lotus eyes that shaped like a lotus petal and reach basically to his ears, and his curling hair and his conch-shaped neck, and above all, the way that Krishna, of course there's his smile. His smile is Vidusmita Madhugandha. It is so wonderful, but the way that Krishna just glances out of the corner of his eyes at his beloveds, that he just does something so intimate. He steals their hearts. He glances at the corner of his eyes, and they're looking at him into the corner of their eyes, and then suddenly Krishna will look at them, and then it's over. It's actually a description in the 15th chapter when Krishna enters. He enters Vrindavan after killing what demon? In the 15th chapter of the 10th canto. No. I'll give you a hint. Talaman. Oh, he didn't do it actually. Yes. But then at the end of the chapter, when he enters, just 2 verses where it describes Krishna's entry into the village of Vrindavan, and the exchange of glances. And this is the first time that there is a description in the 10th canto of the dealings between the young Braja Gopikas and Krishna. And it's all done with the exchange of glances. And then the gopis, they're looking at him. They're looking at him like this because Krishna's coming home. They're looking at him, and then suddenly he looks at them and catches them looking at him. And then they get very shy. But still. And then Krishna's glance enters their heart. And it plunders everything. Plunders means? Steals, but more than steals. Robs and grabs and takes everything from their hearts, their minds. And then from that time on, we could say the gopis had lost their minds. They were madly in love with Krishna. So they're saying, they say when Krishna is leaving, they say the sun, even though the sun is rising, it's not rising for us when Krishna is leaving, but the sun of our fortune is setting. And the sun of the fortune of the ladies of Mathura is rising. So when Krishna enters Mathura, first thing he does is wander throughout the city. And then as he's wandering, the Mathura ladies get a chance to see Krishna. And they've heard about, everyone in Mathura has heard about Krishna already. They've heard that this boy is so beautiful, he's killed this demon, he's killed him. But now is the opportunity to see him. And then they see him, and they're amazed, of course. And they throw flowers down. And this is in the city of Kamsa. They lose their fear of Kamsa when they have been caught in the net of Krishna's beauty. And then after that, they shower flowers down, they throw flowers down from the roofs, and then hundreds and thousands of people have come to see Krishna and Balaram. The cowherd boys wander throughout the city, and then the Brahmins come, and previously everyone basically is terrified of Kamsa because he's a cruel Rakshasa. He's terrible, he's powerful, he's so powerful. His plan was to take over the Kuru dynasty with his polity, with his Rajniti. He was going to take over Hastinapur and take over everything and set himself up as he was so powerful. And then, but right in his own city, no one cares anymore when Krishna and Balaram enter. And then the Brahmins come out and make offerings to Krishna, and then the washerman, then the pastime of the washerman, Rajak appears. So here, this is the beginning of the Mathura Leela, and Narada has to tell Krishna that, and he has to do it in private because it means that the sun of the Brijbasis is going to set, and they're going to enter into association with Krishna through separation, and through the channel of separation they will enter the uppercut Leela of Krishna, where he's eternally present and engaging in pastimes with his beloved Brijbasi devotees. So Krishna says, Narada Muni tells him, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, aprayeya mam, means that you're immeasurable. Unlimited Lord, you are the source of all mystic powers. And we're reading the verse now, and then we'll read what the words mean, the names of Krishna mean in relationship to each other and in relationship to this pastime. You are the Lord of the universe, Yogisha Jagadishwara, source of all mystic power. You are the Lord of the universe. O Vasudev, shelter of all beings and best of the Yadus, O Master, you are the supreme soul of all created beings, sitting unseen within the cave of the heart, like the fire dormant, asleep within kindling wood. You are the witness within everyone, the Supreme Personality and the ultimate controlling deity. You are the shelter of all souls, and being the Supreme Controller, you fulfill your desires simply by your own will. By your personal creative potency, you manifested in the beginning the primal, original modes of material nature, and through their agency you create, maintain, and then destroy this universe. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, we read this first paragraph before, but it's so nice. Narada called out Krishna's name twice, Krishna, Krishna, out of great bliss, while thinking himself as just a semblance of a devotee who praises the Lord by the sankirtan of his names. Narada Muni said, no one can measure or understand your mind, aprameya mam. Therefore, who can understand what is on your mind? Whether you intend to remain in Braja, giving joy to your parents and the other Brijbasis, or whether you will go to Mathura. So everything always a little bit indirect in the way he's speaking. We don't know what you're thinking now. Your mind is aprayatma, that it's immeasurable. We cannot understand it. We don't know if you're going to stay here, or perhaps now you will go to Mathura, because he can't say to Krishna, you go to Mathura, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Narada is the devotee. So will you keep on giving pleasure to the Brijbasis, or now will you go to Mathura? As the controller of Yogamaya, Yogisha, you can easily stay in both places. You can be in Mathura and Vrindavan without any difficulty. And as the master of the universe, Jagadishwara, you must kill the demons who burden the earth. So he's saying, now is your time to take up this part of your pastimes, the killing of all the demons. And after he praises Krishna, he's going to name one pastime after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. You'll kill this one, you'll do this, you'll do this. He's like reminding Krishna of all the pastimes he has to perform in his form of Vasudeva Krishna. Continuing, you are famous as the son of Nanda, but now you should become known as the son of Vasudeva. You will be known as Vasudeva, so he calls him in the verse Vasudeva. Thus, you will generate his Vasudeva's good fortune. Therefore, come and live in Mathura and relieve all your devotees there from their fear of Kamsa. You are the best pravar, fulfiller of desires, and the best amongst the Yadus, Sattvatam. Thus, O Master Prabhu, you can do anything. Krishna replied, I act according to my desires, so why are you making a request from me? And Narada answers, because you are the supreme soul of all created beings, sitting unseen within the cave of the heart. So Narada answers that question. What question does he answer?
Why is Krishna asking?
I'll read it again, so no one has to guess. Krishna replies to Narada Muni's request, I act according to my desires. He is the only one in existence who is actually swatantra, independent. He is the only one who can act according to his desires. Ekala Ishwara Asaba Vidya. So I act according to my desires, so why are you making a request from me? And Narada answers, you are the super soul within me. And you, the super soul within me, gave me the inspiration to request you. So what can I do? You dwell not only in my heart, but within the hearts of all living beings. You remain hidden just like fire within wood. And just as you rest in the caves of Govardhan as Nanda's son, you rest within the heart as the super soul. Though you are resting in the heart, you are the witness, the Shakshi of everything. Thus you are the greatest person. These were all names from the verse he's calling them. With the power to do anything. Generally, even great persons have someone above them with more power. But you alone are the supreme controller. You are the Ishvara of everyone. And then to the third verse. If you had not created myself, if you have not created me, my intelligence and the rest of the universe, if you had not created me, myself, my intelligence and the rest of the universe, then I would not be able to make any request from you. So again, why are you saying it's my fault? You're the creator of everything. And with this intention, Narada speaks. Narada said, you're independent, and you are the shelter of all souls. By your energies, which are none different from you, you create the elements starting from the Mahatattva. As you create this world, you also inspire everyone to fulfill their desires. In this way, although I am another separate person, I am trying to request you. You've inspired me to fulfill this desire to request you. So in this way, Narada Muni speaks, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a garland. He threads a garland of meaning of Narada's intention through all these specific names that Narada addresses Krishna as. And these are all names that express Krishna's power. And he continues, you, that very same creator, have now descended on earth. This is text 13. And you have descended for what purpose? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskritam. You descended on earth to annihilate the Daitya, Pramata, and Rakshasa demons who are posing as kings, and also to protect the godly. So now it's time for you to move from your most enjoyable, most sweet pastimes of Vrindavan, where you wander around the fields, herding the cows, wearing no shoes, blowing your buffalo horn sometimes, and sometimes your flute, and carry a stick for. But Krishna would never hit the cows. You see that with next time you're walking behind a cow and you have a stick, all you have to go is, and the cow knows, now I have to move. True? Yes, God. So those pastimes, which are Krishna's most pleasure, this is what Krishna, the absolutely independent person, this is what he likes to do, one could say, in his spare time or in private. If he could choose anything, if he had no obligations, no one saying, oh Krishna, please give me this, now it's time to create the universe or anything. This is what Krishna wants to do, likes to do with his most intimate devotees. He likes to be in Vrindavan, wandering along in the fields, in the caves of Giriraj Govardhan. So you, that creator, now it's time for you to leave your private quarters and go into the palace and perform your kingly duties of killing the Rakshasas who are posing as kings and to protect the godly. Text 14. The horse demon, whose name was Kesha, was so terrifying that his neighing frightened the demigods into leaving their heavenly kingdom. But by our good fortune, you have enjoyed the sport of killing him. You have killed him for the benefit of the people. He's reminding Krishna for your sport, for your pleasure. You have killed this demon. Now it is a time for you to kill other demons and engage in other pastimes. Then from 15 to 20 is going to tell Krishna of how his pastimes are going to be enacted, and he knows this because he's seen so many leelas of Krishna, and so many times Krishna has descended, and these pastimes they go on again and again and again. So Narada says, in just 2 days, O Almighty Lord, I will see the deaths of Chanora, Mastika, and other wrestlers, along with those of the elephant Kuvalayapida and King Kamsa. There's many descriptions, differing descriptions even of how Krishna killed Kamsa. And Srila Prabhupada explains how the Krishna book, how when Krishna threw Kamsa, knocked his crown off and threw him from the dais from which he was sitting as the king, and then jumped up on top of him, and just even though he was so powerful, just with the striking of Krishna's fist, Kamsa lost his life. So the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that he threw him off the dais, Krishna threw him off the dais, and then he assumed the weight of the universe and just landed on him. and that killed him. And also it stopped him from landing on the hot earth, because he accomplished both things. And Srila Jiva Goswami said he grabbed him by the hair. Krishna grabbed Kamsa by the hair, and just by grabbing him by his hair, he pulled out half of his prana and then threw him off the dais, and in that way took the other half of his prana. And Krishna was surprised how easy it was to kill Kamsa. Because this is the wonder of what Krishna has done in Yogamaya. Because just imagine, because he's Sarvagya. What does Sarvagya mean? He knows everything. So if you know everything, you can never be surprised. So if you can't be surprised, and if you already know what's going to happen, it's like watching a movie for the 50th time. It's boring. So without surprise, then being God would be the most boring thing that could possibly happen to anyone. And then it's not only that, but all the people going to the temple, giving you something, but asking for that, please give me this, and please give me that, and please take this away, please let my enemy's hair fall out. So many things. That's what's happened to me. It says all day long, all night long, people just saying, please do this and do that and do that and do this. And then never any surprises. But Krishna, he does all that part by his energies, and he uses Yogamaya. He gives complete independence to his energies so that they can act in such a way and serve him in such a way that his leelas are always surprising even for him. This is the wonderful actions of Yogamaya, because the devotees have independence, and Krishna will take the side of the devotees sometimes, like in the Agasura pastimes, even against Krishna's desire. So it's always surprising, it's always ever fresh, his leelas. So he killed Kamsa. Narada Muni is encouraging Krishna, now here are the pastimes that you're going to have to perform. Then I will see you kill Kaliyavana. Actually, how does Krishna kill Kaliyavana? Not directly, but through whom? Muchakunda. Just by the glance of Muchakunda. And that's such a funny pastime too, because Muchakunda was so tired, and the demigods, and he had fought for the demigods, and then Skanda Kartikeya was born, so that they said, okay, now you don't have to fight for us anymore. So, but you have fought so well and so sincerely, we'll give you any benediction you want. So he said, I just want to go to sleep. And if anyone wakes me up, because he didn't want the demigod to say, excuse me, after he's taken 15 minutes of rest, excuse me, we need you to fight again. So he was telling them, don't you wake me up again. But sometimes I also feel like that. And I'd like to burn anyone who knocks on the door. But he got that benediction, and Krishna, who didn't want to kill a Yavana himself, because he was in the mood of a Kshatriya, he had Muchakunda's glance kill him. So Krishna does everything in such a wonderful way. And then Muchakunda recited very wonderful prayers at the end of that. But kill him, Kaliyavana, and then kill Mura, the Mura demon, and get the name of Murari. And then who's right after killing the Mura demon, he kills? Where does he kill the Mura demon? Vasam. Yes, Bhaumasura, yes. Or Narakasura, the same. Which is also a very special pastime. And the Kans demon, which happens actually before that, Punsajanya. And I will also see you steal the Parijata flower, which happened such an amazing pastime. How, you want to tell it? But how Krishna asked, Indra asked Krishna to kill this Bhaumasura because he had caused so much problems, and he had stolen the earrings of Indra's mother, Aditi, and taken control over the jeweled Mandara mountain. So Krishna killed Bhaumasura, and then he was with Satyabhama, and he gave Satyabhama a parijata tree, and then Indra said, "No, you can't have it." So there was a fight, and who do you think won? So you stole the parijata flower and defeated, and you will defeat Indra. I will then see you marry all in the same pastime, many daughters of heroic kings, after paying for them with your valor. Then, O Lord of the universe, in Dwarka, you will deliver King Riga from a curse and take for yourself the Shamataka jewel, which happens before that. And who was the first wife of Krishna? Who was the second wife of Krishna? No. Jambavati. Because in fighting with Jambavan to get the Shamataka jewel before he was presented with Satyabhama, the jewel. Jambavati recognized Krishna as his Lord and presented his wife Jambavati, so she was the second wife. And who is Jambavati's famous son? Samba. And he was Sa-amba. He was always with his mother. And he is very beautiful. I will see King Riga from a curse. That's such an interesting pastime too. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur really opens up a wonderful explanation of that, of very deep significance of that. And you will take for yourself the Shamataka jewel together with another wife. You will bring back a Brahman's dead son from the abode of your servant Yamaraj, and thereafter you kill Pondraka. Who is Pondraka? He was what?
He was claiming that I am Krishna.
Yeah.
Vishnu.
I am Vishnu. Somehow or another he had attached 4 arms and he was holding, I am the real Vasudeva, you come before me, and Krishna got a letter from him challenging him. Krishna just laughed. Because he was duplicate Krishna. And then you will burn down the city of Kashi and annihilate Dantavakra and the king of Chedi. Who is the king of Chedi? That's such an amazing pastime too. During the great Rajasuya sacrifice, actually Dantavakra was killed after that. I shall see all these heroic pastimes, along with many others you will perform during your residence in Dwarka. So now he's telling Krishna, 11 years in Vrindavan, 18 years in Mathura, then 100 years in Dwarka. So many pastimes to perform. These pastimes are glorified on this earth in the songs of transcendental poets. And subsequently, after this, I will see you appear as time personified, Kalosmin Lokachaya Krit, serving as Arjuna's chariot driver and destroying entire armies of soldiers to rid the earth of her burden. The great battle of Kurukshetra. Let us approach you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for shelter. You are full of perfectly pure spiritual awareness, and you are always situated in your original identity. Are we situated in our original identities? Well, we have to answer that question individually. What is our original identity? Yeah, another verse? That if we are always serving Krishna with great devotion, then we are in our natural identity. This is our sarup, our actual, this is who we are. This is our swadharma. Now you have appeared. So we may not be situated fully. Sometimes we're serving, sometimes we're doing this, sometimes we're doing that perhaps. But Krishna is always in his identity, and his identity is Bhagavan Swayam. He never leaves that identity, except sometimes when he's in Vrindavan. Since your will is never thwarted, what does thwarted means?
Baffled.
Yes, exactly. In other words, so think now that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we are making our greatest attempt, sincerest attempt to serve Him. So think of these qualities that Krishna has as how they will affect our consciousness, knowing that He has these qualities, how they affect our desire to give ourselves completely to Him. Let us approach you. I'll read it again. Let us approach you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because He is saying, let us approach you for shelter. Now, what kind of person will we be desiring to take shelter of? You are full of perfectly pure spiritual awareness. He's aware of everything. Even before we tell Him our situation or our needs or spiritual desires or whatever, He's perfectly purely aware of them. And He is always situated in His original identity. He's the Supreme Lord. And since your will is never baffled is another word? Baffled or defeated, yes, thwarted. You have already achieved all possible desirable things. So how does the fact that Krishna's will is never thwarted or baffled or defeated, what does that have to do with our advancement in Krishna consciousness? This is, yeah. Okay. Answer that question. The fact that Krishna's will is never thwarted, defeated, or baffled, or stopped in any way. What does that have to do with our advancement in Krishna consciousness? Yes.
Krishna's plan is that we advance in Krishna consciousness, we come to Him.
Yes. Okay. So, how come I'm thwarting Krishna's will?
So we cannot. So that means we will make.
I seem to be doing quite well at it.
We have to surrender. Krishna wants us to come back to Him more than we are willing. So
Okay.
His will is.
Okay. Now I'll change my question. Guess what I'm thinking? Because I'm thinking something a little different. Did you want to?
We surrender to His will. We have to surrender to Him.
Yeah, that's actually also, all the answers are right. But what I was thinking of, if we can somehow inspire Krishna to give us His mercy and bring us back to Godhead by His mercy, then that, practically speaking, is the only way that a person like me is going to get back to Godhead. Because my capacity is so small, actually. So small. Embarrassingly small. But somehow, if Krishna decides to give me His mercy, then regardless of how insignificant my capacity is, then I'll go back. So then the question comes, so Krishna's will is never thwarted, but then the question comes, is there anything that I can do that can attract or inspire Krishna to desire that I go back, will that I go back to Godhead and that I get His mercy. And that is the meditation of an aspiring devotee. How can I act in such a way? And this is, Srila Prabhupada used to quote Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saying, don't try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna sees you. So what are the kind of activities that I can do that will inspire Krishna to want me home? So that's, you're going to give me some advice. Thank you.
To give Krishna consciousness to somebody else. Say that formula, Manmana Brahmalva. He will surely come to me, he says. So if you do that, you surely receive the message.
The problem is I don't have the capacity to do that.
You can at least do obeisances.
Except that usually when I pay obeisance to Krishna, I forget that all about Krishna. Sometimes when I pay my obeisances, I fall asleep. No. But it's becoming a servant of the will of Krishna through the, and that's what Srila Prabhupada has made such a vast movement to give us some service that will attract Krishna's mercy. So, Sevan Mukhi Jivadal Swayam Eva Sparatyadal. So we have to get the serving mood. And this is what attracts Krishna's mercy. Now, what I was thinking of actually, and yes, certainly Prabhupada gave everyone the instruction to preach. Maragai Guru Hai Tare Desh. But I was thinking myself at this point of someone who couldn't get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was a king. And Mahaprabhu wouldn't see him. He wouldn't even allow the king to see him. But then when the king took the position of a sweeper, a humble servant of Lord Jagannath, then Mahaprabhu, acting as if just that he was ecstatic, and he didn't even know it was the king, he embraced him. And he arranged the next day, and through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya explained everything to him. And what attracted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to him was that this great, powerful, kingly personality took up the very humble or even humiliating job or service as a sweeper. And therefore in Vrindavan, the Jaru Seva, the sweeping is always considered one of the topmost services. Just a humble servant of that mood attracts. How can I serve? How can I serve? And therefore when Prabhupada, the first translation he gave us of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra was right to the essence of it. O Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Please allow me to serve you. Please let me act for you. Anyway, that's what I was thinking. Since your will is never thwarted, you have already achieved all possible desirable things, and from the power of your spiritual energy, you remain eternally aloof from the flow of the qualities of illusion. One more verse. I bow down to you, the Supreme Controller, who are dependent only on yourself. I won't. This is so nice how Krishna in Vrindavan takes this point of view of Narada Muni and throws it out the window. In the 11th chapter it describes, of the 10th canto, it describes how the elderly gopis would clap and say, Krishna, if you dance, I'll give you a sweet. And Krishna starts to dance. He becomes dependent on their affection. So this conception, which is so full of Aishwarya, is so wonderful, it's so important, and this is the Supreme Lord. But in Vrindavan, it's we can't imitate, but it's out the window. By your potency, you have constructed the unlimited particular arrangements of this universe. Now you have appeared as the greatest hero amongst the Yadus, Yadu dynasty, Mathura, Rishis and Sattvatas, Mathura, and have chosen to participate in human warfare. As Krishna told Arjuna to fight, now Narada Muni is telling Krishna, now you have to go home and fight. Chant. So now Sukadeva Goswami will continue. And I shall continue tomorrow. And I think we will end this chapter tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Krishna Bhakti ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Srivrindavan dham.